Alright, hi everyone and welcome to a quick video on Google Earth Pro mapping. So Google Earth Pro has become kind of an essential tool for us here at Soil and Crop. Not necessarily just because of the OFCAF program, but it's just such an effective tool at making quick georeference maps. So we're going to do a quick discussion and kind of go through all the things you should be doing to make maps for your farm. Like I said, we've been doing a lot of this and we've been asking more producers to do this with reference to the OFCAF program to keep a better track, get a better idea of what sort of acreage we're getting, and to properly align projects with the fields. So if you want to build these maps and do that stuff, I'm going to give you kind of a brief rundown of how to make that possible. But if you put all the OFCAF stuff aside and all the programs and project work, really this program should be used by anyone anyway. It's incredibly useful, and as you can see, I have some of my own up here in this folder on the left. It's just great, and coming from a background where a lot of mapping was done in forestry, I can't believe more producers aren't using this. So, to begin, you don't actually just start with Google Earth Pro. It's not downloaded on your computer. You have to download it yourself. So to do that, we're just going to go to your internet browser, whichever one you may be using, Firefox, Internet Explorer, you name it, doesn't matter. Just search Google Earth Pro, and one of your top picks or top items should come up as Earth versions. And it says download here. You don't have to click that. Just click Earth versions, and then go down to right here. Download Google Earth Pro on desktop. That's what you want to be doing. Download it, then launch the program, and you will get to this. So yes, free program, all publicly available, which some of you may enjoy or may not, but it's here, make use of it. So we're going to go to Sussex and actually just make a quick boundary and show you some of the little details you should be doing when you're creating these polygons. So I chose a field in Sussex, which actually I think is owned by the town. So we're not actually intruding on anyone's private property or anyone's fields. We're not checking out your farm. We are simply going to a field I know in Sussex. If I can find it, I want Fowler Avenue. Let's see. A little off here, aren't I? Yes. Even I can make mistakes when it comes to this stuff. So here is a field on Fowler Avenue. This is just going to be our test field. I think it's used for some of the cadet training and stuff, but like I said, if you're using GeoMB and doing other type of mapping software, drawing polygons, this is effectively how you do it. Now, you maybe see me zooming in and out. I am just using the scroll wheel on my mouse, but there are positives and negatives over here that can do that for you. Clicking and dragging moves you around, so that's kind of your pan feature. And then I zoom in with my scroll wheel. So once you get zoomed in, you can orientate yourself on the map. If you hold Shift, you can actually reposition your map however you want. So if you want a different view of this field, it gets kind of weird, but that's how you can do it. So what I always like to do is try to orientate my maps north. And when you first log into Google Earth Pro, it does that for you. So I use middle mouse like I said, but you can hold Shift and click as well. I actually sometimes use both of them, so just do whatever you prefer, because it can be quite easy to get all mixed up. And just keep an eye on that north arrow in the top corner, because not too many people making maps or any professional map making type of thing is ever going to want a map that's really orientated south. You almost always want it orientated north. So once our map's kind of in the position we want it, we have it as north as we can get it for now, and this is our field. So this is when it gets a little interesting and when you actually start to have a bit of fun. You will see a top bar, which my mouse is up here in the top left, this little place marker. You'll have a polygon, you'll have a path, and a whole bunch of other stuff that you don't really need to get into. The main ones you want to be using are this polygon and place marker. So polygon, click on it. You're given Google Earth new polygon, little pop up. So we're going to call this test 1. And I'll leave that there for now. We'll come back to naming it, but you can actually add, like if you want, you can add your crop rotations, forage, year 1 or year 3, let's say. Anything you want. Great yield, let's say. Anyway, you can add description to these so that all your polygons have, an actual identity. They're not just a border or a boundary. You can change the style and color, and I always go with outlined. So clicking from description to style and color, go with outline. You can increase the width a little, but my eyes are good enough to see most of these lines. However, let's go with blue because blue's a beautiful color, and we will start drawing a polygon. So we're actually just going to take this little triangle over here, and you just simply, once you come out of this window, it will just let you click with this kind of target thing, which is kind of fitting considering this is actually the rifle range in Sussex. So we are going to just place that thing the whole way around, and you can notice some of these, you're like, well, should I click on the tree? Shouldn't I click on the tree? And right there, it actually made a little hiccup, which you'll run into as well. So if you keep clicking back on these dots, it will start thinking you're drawing a polygon from there, which we don't want it doing. We want it drawing a polygon from this dot. So you got to make sure you're clicking and keeping yourself in tune. Like, I'll try it again just to show you, because these are the issues you're going to run into. So if I click over here and try to adjust this one, it's going to think I'm now over here. So it's going to draw my next click, proceeding down the line from that point. So if you want to edit these, it's probably almost best to do it after, and then just draw your original boundary first. Here we go, drawing the boundary. You can go around this way, and we're going to stop right around here. And that's pretty much it. But what I like to do is, before I leave all this stuff, and for the first time, kind of exit out of this new polygon window, I go to measurements, and we'll change that to kilometers. Doesn't really much matter, but we'll go to acres. So this is actually 11.6 acres. And so what I'm doing is I'm naming this polygon. So it's test 1, 11.6 acre field. And it's just really beneficial, and you'll see why when you start actually naming these polygons this way. So we click OK, and it pops up over here. Now this is my new field, and I can toggle this field on and off by simply clicking on this little button. And if you really want to go back and re-edit this and you think, geez, that's not quite perfect, maybe this corner isn't as good as it should be, or you really want to get into crazy good detail, not really super necessary, but you can by going over here to the left, right clicking on this new polygon we have in the corner, going to properties. Now this will take you to the window you're at before, and you can simply click and drag, and your polygon is now perfect. You can edit all your stuff you changed before. Maybe you don't like the color, you can go back into it. Let's do red. It doesn't much matter. So that's our polygon, that's saved, and we can look at it however we want. It is now on that map. So if we scroll out, we have it, and it's over here. Now if you want to, maybe you see that there isn't an actual test 1 11 acres kind of floating over this, and you're thinking, well, I want a better way to identify that. This is when we start using the place markers. So we're going to title this one the same as that polygon. I'll just do test 1 to keep it short, but actually let's do the 11.6 acres. So same idea, we can change the style on this and color, and because we can drag it around when we're creating it, it's the only way you can kind of move it. So wherever once you leave this screen, that place marker is going to stay where you've placed it. And I actually don't like having it that large, because really the information you want to see is the text. You don't really want to see that big yellow thing. And we kind of just make it a little smaller. Maybe take the text up a little higher by changing the label. And there we have it. So that is test field 1, and it is now placed there. So that will always be on the map. It will orientate itself so that you can read it properly. And that is one of the reasons why we like to use these maps for rotational grazing mapping, for example. Because we can use these little place markers. You see how I can't grab them? I have to go back to the right, or the left, sorry. Right click, properties, and then I can start moving it around. So Once this guy's placed, it pretty much stays there unless you over here and you're editing these things. Now, the other big important part when you're submitting any of these maps is going over here, and once again, we're going to right click. We're going to add a folder. Now we're just going to call this test project. And we're going to hit OK. So now I have a new folder called test project. What I'm actually going to do with that is take my newly created polygon, drag it in, and test place marker and drag it in. So now we have a folder with these two items in there. So if I don't want to see these items, I can click them individually and they will pop up. You can see they're popping up individually, which is useful for hiding. Maybe you got a whole bunch of maps, a whole bunch of place markers, and if you create your own project or your own project folder, you can have all your place markers for that project appear or disappear however you want. So you can have this field broken up into a whole bunch of polygons, a whole bunch of text and stuff all over it, and you can literally show whatever you want. So if you're submitting projects or using this on your farm, you have this whole folder now designated to this field. And or maybe you have a couple farms under a couple different folders, all incredibly useful. And if you're going to submit this and save this, this is when it becomes probably the most important part of Google Earth Pro, is the fact that this boundary is now georeferenced onto a, geographical location. So anyone using Google Earth Pro can take these files and open them on their Google Earth Pro. In order to share these with someone else's computer, you must first save them. So what you do is you go to test project or over on your left menu here and you have your place marker and polygon. You can save these individually if you like by simply right clicking save place as, or you can actually save the whole folder for someone else to share with or to submit with an application as save place as. So rather than showing you guys all my documents, this is just kind of an example. I'm going to block some of that out, but if you want to save it, you can click save and it will actually say KMZ or KML. Either of these works fine for most of our applications. So don't fret too much over whether you're saving it as a KMZ or KML file. When you're moving these files from one Google Earth Pro version to another, they all go into the program acceptably fine. So just save it whatever you want to call it, and effectively that is now a map package with all this information in it. So you've now basically made a field. You've named that field so that we can observe the acreage easily and see its location. You've also put these into a folder, save this folder, and you can now submit it with any application you want. So these are basically the quick little tools to make Google Earth Pro an effective mapping program for anyone, and any farmer, any agricultural producer. I highly recommend making the most of this program. Alright, so that's how you make a polygon and save it and do all the important things with just polygons. But there are actually ways to make some other interesting stuff, especially if you're doing some rotational grazing or you want to show gates or fences. Polygons are a great way to show perimeter fences, but if you want to show, for example, you're putting a gate in, let's just say we want to add a gate here. So you might have missed what I just did, but I went and clicked on line or add path at the top. And then the same idea, you just put that kind of bullseye, click, and then click again. We're going to title this gate, or gate 1 maybe. And you can change the style and color. Maybe we want it to be a little wider. Yeah, there we go. Sorry, it wasn't actually, didn't actually, for some reason, it must have got rid of my original click. But here we have it. Gate 1, a little wider. Let's beef it up a bit. Go to there. Description. You don't really need to add a description to this. That's up to you. But what you get is a measurement, which is 45 feet. So that is one kind of neat feature about this whole path idea, is that you can create, gates or lines, or even just for general measurements of your property, you can get some distances. So you can match this up with any rotational grazing stuff, or if you need to add, if you need to add another fence or add something and cut across the field, you can actually do a pretty quick calculation of how much ground that's going to cover. So we'll put this as gate 1, same idea. We're also going to add a place marker so that everyone knows what they're looking at. And once you make your original settings for these place markers, they do save. So as you can see, this one's how I want it to be already. Not too large with the big yellow thing. There we have it, gate 1. So that also can be very useful, you know, making a path across this field if you want to see how long it is. You don't have to save these either. You can just use these for fun in a way. So between the polygon and the lines, you should be able to effectively map whatever you plan to map or submit for any type of project or any type of curiosity project you have on your farm. So just another useful item I should mention, if you're not planning to save this stuff or use it georeference wise, or you can have all this stuff over here and maybe you just want to print off images or have, you know, pictures of your fields. You don't have to always save everything and have it as a KML or KMZ file. You can actually go and, like, you see this image. If you want to save this actual image, go to File, top left, Save, click Save Image. And it will give you these options. So this actually has autofilled because it has some restaurants and stuff in the area, the legend, and it's giving you an untitled kind of map in the top corner. So you can title this whatever you want. Test 1. You can write a description of what field this is or whatever. It's up to you guys. A lot of times I don't actually use most of these map features, but the essential ones are, if you have this image, this is what you're saving wherever you scroll, drag this thing to. Like I said, you want your north arrow facing north. It's way easier to orientate yourself and others that way. You can increase how high quality you want. You know, 1280 by 720 is pretty decent quality, and we're actually a little above that. But you can go to map options, which allows you to change the compass, the scale, the legend, all those things. So if you want a legend or not, you can click that on and off. I don't normally use a legend because those polygon symbols don't really mean much. It just means there's a polygon there, which we can clearly see now that we've created our little kind of feature or place marker. So yeah, that's fine. You can use scale. Scale is kind of useful, but not always super important. And you can add a title and description, like I said. So if you don't want a legend, just click the legend off. I would always leave a north arrow. Maybe you don't want scale. And then we'll just leave a title and description. And this will change some of the styling. Maybe you don't want to print it all in color. And there you go. So you'll click save. That will save again, and you can save this image as like a PDF, I think it saves as. Or I forget how it saves. Save image. Yeah, JPEG. Here we go. So when you actually save these map options, I think it's asking to save the elements in these options, which you don't really need to do. Don't worry about saving that. Focus on saving the image. So once again, it'll save it as JPEG or whatever you want, and you'll be given an image of what you're seeing in Google Earth Pro. You won't be given all the stuff on the side. It will be this as a nice little fancy map you can share with people. So another useful thing, important if you just want to save these as individual JPEG images. All right, so you've pretty much done everything you needed to do and learned just about everything you can learn in order to make a quick polygon, label it, save it, send it, and submit an application with. Or just to make, you know, use of this on your own farm. But for a few bonus things, I just wanted to point out that some of you may be looking at this photo, and if you're from the region thinking, geez, that looks like it's not that recent. Like, you'd think they have better maps. And actually in the corner it shows like 1985, like that doesn't make any sense. No, actually, we're going to look at the maps from 1985. So this is what you would have been mapping on, or the imagery they've created for you from that era. So you can just see how much has just changed. And I remember in 2012, I think it was, or 2014, they had a winter. Yeah, 2014. They had a winter overlay, which was kind of the most detailed maps they had of the province for quite some time. Because you had 2008, and then a jump to 2014. So in order to look at these, if you want to look at past history of these fields, it all depends on what kind of photography you have in your region. And I mean, 2014 to me doesn't feel like that long ago, but obviously things have come a long way. And 2016, you can see there's some hay bales and stuff out there. 2019, yeah, looks much different. And then I think they even have, 2021, the most recent data. So if you actually want to do histories on some of your farm or look at just some of your fields and how much they've changed. Kind of a fun little tool. So that's just something I want to show you as a bonus. And I actually have one more little bonus thing, which I think is kind of neat. So if you ever want to look at the years, you can click on this in the bottom corner. It will take you to 1985, and then it will present you with this little scroll wheel, or you can just click up here. This little guide takes you to all of the imagery. So let's go with 2021, if it lets us. And the last thing I want to kind of point out, we're going to draw a path, and I'm actually going to cancel this and move to somewhere I know is a little more steep. So let's do a path from here to here. You might be wondering, like, that, what's the point of this? But we're just going to leave it at that untitled path. And now you have this line. So if you actually want to look at the elevation of this line, Google Earth Pro in some areas, it's really, really good at this. You can actually go and right click and go show elevation profile. It is an option here on the left, and it will actually give you your slopes for that region. So when it comes to like any environmental group or forestry application stuff, this is a pretty heavy slope in parts. And I have found situations where the data just isn't quite complete. I'm not sure what they use to capture this, if it's all just data points. It's certainly not like the LiDAR data, which you can get on GeoMB, which is like pinpoint accurate, but it's advancing. And I've seen improvements even in the 3 years since I've been at Soil and Crop with this elevation stuff. So you can look at this field and it'll give you an average slope right here, where my mouse cursor is, and it's like 4.5%. And some spots are like 7, so that's a 10% slope right there as you come into that ditch. Whether this is effectively something you use in your farm or not sure, but it's something you can use with Google Earth Pro, which I think is quite useful. So with that, I think that's all I wanted to kind of show you guys today. I wish you all the best of luck with any of your applications, and I hope this little Polygon goes as smoothly for you guys as it did for me. There's always a few things I've missed or a few little hiccups you will find. That is just the nature of using a computer or any type of program. So thank you all. We appreciate it, and I will be seeing you in the future.